tonight. Let's keep them flowing. Where do you come from? Where are you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where are you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing.
Hello. Welcome to the Super PlayStation Bros. I am Rudigs, and this is Doragon, and we together make the Super PlayStation Bros. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday morning / afternoon, or whenever you catch the VOD. We are everything PlayStation, and we are here to give you the breakdown on what's been going on this week. Doragon, leveling up the podcast as always. How are you doing this week?
I'm good, my man. I am very, very good. I've finally finished the Prince of Persia game that I've been playing since January. I've got into some Helldivers with yourself and a bunch more of the community. And I've got away for my birthday because we were off last week because both of us got older. How dare we?
Yes, and awesome birthday gift. If you don't notice, we are sporting some wicked awesome shirts here. Super PlayStation Bros swag. Wait for it. Oh, that's right. We are branded up and ready to go, bringing you guys the best PlayStation news of the week. And yeah, we've been playing Helldivers. I've been playing the Final Fantasy demo. I've been trying to catch up to Dorgon and Prince of Persia, but I am only feel like I've scratched the surface. Already asking them for tips because I lost my map. Let's get ready though. We have a Shadow of the Erdtree trailer. I've got paused here at 17 seconds. So we want to react to this bad boy off the bat. As you know, From Software and PlayStation have a relationship. So this is one to be excited for if you're a PlayStation fan. All right, let's see if we can get this going. And boom. Of course, I've got no audio on this, so let me fix that. Without... As this is a super professional show, internet browser properties, yeah, so we've been getting into a lot of what's been going on in gaming this week. The state of Helldivers, we're going to be covering brand new PlayStation exclusive has been announced, so that is uber exciting. We're going to be diving into, we got reviews of Pacific Drive, and much more happening this episode, so stay tuned, and I've got the audio set up. So, without further delay, let's get into it. I am pumped and excited for this, as I know many other people are.
It's a big thing. Like Elden Ring was that
Peggy
moment
16
in 2022, wasn't it? And to just have more of it. Like, just look at this. Just look at it.
All right, it's
pure and
right
radiant.
now.
He wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men. There is nothing more terrifying.
Okay, question. Why do you have Arabic subtitles?
That's I don't know. We're going with it.
Hey, for any of our Arabic friends watching, we've got subtitles for you on this particular video.
In that forsaken place,
Ninja Guy's not wrong.
blood
It
must
does
spill.
fit the world, doesn't it? Like Arabic
blood of your
subtitles.
fellows. The Erdtree faithful.
I have so many jokes and none of them are appropriate for broadcast.
They were never saints. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war.
There are some weird ones. Like Big Fire Monster, yeah, but the whole long neck head sucking thing. That one's a bit
Mother.
odd to me.
Wouldst thou truly lordship sanction in one so bereft of light?
Story there, though,
I presume you, too, are keen to know
If anybody's wondering why I'm not over there, that's where my screen is.
Nicola is doing here.
They are impressive. Why
Those
why did it
of the race of
grab the
gold
player? Wibble,
shadow
great question.
death.
Superb question. I asked the same thing. I don't know if you realise these are muted.
Come now. Touch
We are
the
just getting
withered arm
physical
and
reactions
travel
right now.
to the realm of shadow. I will not be far
To
behind.
work with to how
May
he
we
feels.
meet again.
Yeah, this is kind of incredible. Elderly ring. Welcome in, Ron. Morning, mate. Brood eggs, you're muted.
I know, because that was epic. That was epic. Oh my god, so many bosses, so many amazing moments. Magic floating, new evil boss. Oh, the guy with multiple arms, fire, dragon powers. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. The new steed. Woo. Oh, I am so pumped. This is June 21st. Can't wait for it.
None of us could tell that you were hyped about that one at all. Like, you were totally silent. You had no clue what was going on, other than at the screen.
Yeah.
I think you might have been a little teeny bit excited for this one.
Wow. Wow. I need to, yeah, like Wilson said, see breakdown of every little piece they showed us. I can't wait to, why is Moog shown here coming out of the shell? Is that right? Is Nerds World saying no Steam launch? I didn't even catch it. I was pure enjoyment. If that's the case, then I'm glad I have a playthrough done on PlayStation. They
Console Master Race.
It seems we're riding into a new area in the opening. This doesn't look like anything I've seen before, although there is the Erdtree. Maybe the land has been changed. We have new runes, possibly, is what we're seeing. I mean, the breakdown would be a lot more informational than I would be. But, oh my, this seems like a new character coming up on the screen. I mean, there's so much happening in this trailer that I am excited for. The new bosses, new areas, getting back into this world. That huge monster, fire blowing everywhere. We know that I heard your reaction on the guy who sucks you up with his giant tentacle head.
Yeah, that one's a bit weird. Like, I'm kind of in the same camp as Wibble is in chat here, where he says he found it meh, but that's because he didn't like the base Elden Ring game anyway. For me, Elden Ring was just it didn't hit the right spots for me, and that's nothing against the quality of the title. That's nothing against anybody who enjoyed it. It's just, for me, it didn't hit. I've not played Elden Ring anywhere near enough to comment on how good or bad it is. It just, I can say it wasn't for me. And this trailer does a good job of hooking you in and making you want to watch. Like, there were bits in this that made me think, "Ooh, that could be great fun to play," but I know I'd have to get through a portion of the game which I didn't enjoy first time round to be able to get to this point. But for those who love Elden Ring, it was such a culturally significant and impactful game in 2022 when it launched. This is more Elden Ring. This is exactly what they've been wanting for nearly 2 years at this point. They've wanted more of the game, and it's coming out middle of this year, and I think it's going to be a huge boon for that community.
Yeah, I mean, I'm clearing the calendar. This is going down. If there is no Steam launch, like Nerds World was pointing out, I'm definitely doing this on PlayStation. I mean, I myself have a playthrough on Steam. When I first got it, I mean, it was nothing else I could play. Did the whole thing solo, went samurai build. All right, no, we see PC here. Am I crazy? It says PC. I don't see Steam,
So yeah,
but I see the
it's going to be
PC
on
logo
PC.
down there.
I assume whatever client you've got it from previously, that's where it will come from. I don't know if this is on multiple PC stores. It might be on Epic, it might be on Steam, it might be on Good Old Games. I don't know. I can't quote for that. But yeah, it looks like it'll be on whatever client you got the original game from.
Here's what I need from this. I need it to be this boss right here. We're looking at it. I need it to be more difficult than Melania. I want there to be an epic fight that I need to struggle to get through. I want to continue from anywhere in my story. Like, I just want to find a location and then go to the DLC. Like, I don't want to have to start a brand new game to be able to enter a new world. Like, I want to take a boat and then kind of go from wherever I am in the game. He's saying it's 53.49 Canadian. I will say that is the most expensive DLC I've ever heard of. I've never heard of DLC
expansion.
that much. Yeah.
That's a full new game or full expansion. That's like your annual releases in live services like Call of Duty and Destiny 2 and what have you. So if they've put 2 years worth of work into this, and maybe even a little bit more because of the time they put in development pre-launch of the original game, it's probably going to be of high or similar quality to the original game, maybe even higher. So I can see why they're wanting to charge that much for the work that's been put in. But yeah, from a consumer perspective, that's a lot to ask. I don't think they're going to have any problem getting people to pay that, because those who like Elden Ring really want more of it, and this is quite a chunk more of it from what we're seeing here. So yeah, I think he's going to do well. I don't want it to set a precedent of DLCs that are that expensive, but if it is a giant chunk of content, you can sort of weigh it up and balance it a little bit, I think.
There is so many people, I feel like, itching for this content that'll be diving in. I'm hoping it'll be the size of an entire game. It looks to me like multiple bosses, multiple new areas. It does feel like an ambitious add-on. I'm not sure. I wish I could tell if this was a new area or an old area. Like this lightning battlefield, it looks like a new area. I'm hoping that it is brand new terrain and we're just going to travel there. Oh man, as you saw my facial reactions, I'm a big fan of this game. I love the combat. I love the difficulty settings. I'm ready to make a brand new build. Perhaps go sorcerer this time, or this kung fu monk that they showed. I didn't even know you could go kung fu build. I may do kung fu. I don't even know, man. I'm really pumped. I look forward to getting into this game again. Two things I didn't hear that I wanted to hear: crossplay. Please, oh my god, I wish there was crossplay. That would be amazing. And just general information on how we enter the DLC and how it works in terms of New Game Plus or not. But cool stuff. I'm glad to see it. All the rumors can be silenced now that we have a release date and we know where to go. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped. Let's go. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, June 21st.
Before we move on, I just want to do an impression right now, and I want you all to remember this for the day that Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree launches, because this is going to be Rudig's on that day. I know Kung Fu.
Yes, I'm going to be
a
correct.
Kung Fu monk. He's gonna
Downloading.
Go full Matrix on it.
Oh my god. Just curious, is it a prequel? Is it an additional side quest endings? Is it a new biome? Yeah, these are all things I'm curious about as well, Wilson. Fighting Mikula, new hardest fight. I hope there is a more difficult fight. I hope they bring out the new top 10, a new Orphan of Kos from Bloodborne, a new sort of relentless, difficult boss that kind of puts us all in and humbles us. So that's what I'm looking for out of this one. But yeah,
it's what they've done with all the DLC. I would not expect any different from them.
You're right. I didn't even think of that. Orphan of Kos is a DLC boss, and he is proclaimed as one of the most difficult souls. So I hope we get that level of difficulty. So thanks for bringing up that point. Now I'm even more on the hype train.
Look, you've already ruined one game with your hype train because too many people got on board with your second-hand hype. Let's not do it to another. But speaking of that first one, should we move on to the next topic?
Yes, let's move on to the next one. Ugh. Man, I'm so upset with the state of Helldivers. So upset I can't even talk about it because I've got a different order of things. But that's fine.
Whoops, I've broken everything.
And I was like scrolling.
Was too good, man. The
segue
was too good.
I found it eventually, but it wasn't quick enough. But Zell, we'll talk about this one.
I'm sorry, I broke it. I broke the whole running order. It's my bad.
Today there was, or is, sort of live right now, if I'm not mistaken, a update to your demo, which I have never seen before. This is a demo that received free DLC. It's an expansion into the open world. This is I'm going to say this wrong, Junyon region, as well as... Oh, nice. It's a new playable segment, giving players a small taste of the open world gameplay. So be sure to check it out. And I played the demo. I thought it was great combat. They introduced the dynamic combos that we saw in the DLC. They told me all about Sephiroth and why I'm not a big fan of Sephiroth. They showed me a side of Cloud that I never thought I'd see. He was fun, playful, told jokes. I mean, what happened to my boy? And you find out what happened to him. So a little bit sad, you shed a tear. And you get more connected to the story. So I look forward to this one dropping at the end of the month.
I think it's good that they've added this a little bit of additional content in prior to launch, because that whole open world segment, for those coming from the original, from Final Fantasy VII, it's questionable about how it will work. So giving people that taste, maybe just to belay fears of the hardcore fan base, the ones who are going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of marketing and promotional work for this game, just by being enthusiastic about it. I think that's a really smart move from Square and the creation team. So yeah, great for everybody involved. You get more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth before it launches. You get to taste it and see if it is going to be right for you, and belay any fears. Great move.
Absolutely. And Dorgon, you gotta get into this one. We're waiting for you on the other end of the demo. It does lead you into the story. So it's good to get done if you are planning to play the title.
Yeah, the fact that your progress carries over as well into the main game like they did with 16 is great. So yeah, it's basically just early access, isn't it? Which loads of people are going to be very grateful.
Don't say those bad words, because another game should be called early access, all right? And that is freaking Helldivers 2. Ugh. All right, I know I was on the hype train for this, and
You
now
caused
it's a
this.
game.
Your hype train caused this situation. This is on you.
I wanted it to be the new community game, the thing people all gathered around, hanging out weekly, getting these done, having hilarious clips, just having fun with your friends. I mean, every time I get into a group of four, we will laugh. Like it's a game that makes you laugh. You
Yes.
have fun doing it. You rant about samples, and you talk about somebody going solo by themselves while the rest of the people are doing all the heavy lifting, and Dorgon's off shooting you, throwing grenades at you. Oops, it was an accident. While he's
Whoa!
methodically laughing.
Whoa! Whoa! The only times that I killed you in Helldivers 2, I was stood still firing at the enemy and you walked in front of my bullets. I am not responsible for where you walk with your own autonomy, mate.
Well, that is a hilarious game, but apparently it's caught the attention of so many people. We saw a lot of content creators switch over to Helldivers 2 from Azakroth, which I know is a massive Destiny 2 streamer. He's switched over to Helldivers, and I honestly feel like influences like him, along with many others, have brought a lot of people into Helldivers 2, making the Steam charts, breaking records. I believe we saw over 450,000 in literally the last 24 hours. And that is just including Steam, not to mention PlayStation 5. I mean, we were doing calculations. If 1% of 50 million adopt Helldivers 2 and are trying to log in, that's another 500,000 people. It's just it's a sticky situation. So the CEO has come out and said it's actually worth waiting until the server problems are fixed. He's saying, do not. This is a CEO 2 weeks after the game saying, stop buying my game. Have you ever heard of that before? Like, how? How does that happen? I mean, we know that Sony doesn't own servers, right? So they've got to purchase servers, and then they've got to probably make these servers meet their standards, right? Their operating procedures. And then after that is done, after all those checks are done, then they've got to plug in a game. And so that probably is maybe a month timeline. I'm not even sure if they're expressing things. What do you have to say on this
Server
topic?
work.
Because I'm upset. I'm upset. My game is taken away from me.
And you should be upset. But there's three ways to look at this. There is the aspect that you're looking at it from, which is completely justified, completely reasonable, and that is the consumer view. We have paid money to play this game. We can't get in to play this game. That money feels like wasted cash. And the CEO coming out and saying, basically, don't do that at the moment, I feel is a really positive thing for the development team, because it puts less pressure on them to keep running themselves into the ground. Because the weekend just gone, that was the first time they'd had off since Helldivers 2 launched. They had been in battle mode since it launched because it was so unbelievably beyond their expectations. But from a consumer perspective, I've paid £60 for the Super Citizen edition of this game, and I can't use those £60 at the moment. I can't get into the game. Every time I try it at a time of day that actually suits my life, I can't get in and play it. And that's unacceptable when I've paid that much money for entry. So yes, from a consumer perspective, this isn't good enough. From the podcast host perspective, we know there's things that go on behind the scenes. Like you said, Sony don't own massive server farms or anything like that, so they've got to go out to whichever company are hosting this game, whether that's the likes of Amazon, Google, or even Microsoft on their server farms, purchase more space if there is more space to be purchased, and as you said, set them up. And then from the business perspective, you've got to work within your realms, and what Arrowhead Games are doing here is exactly that. The CEO is taking the flak. He's protecting his staff and his developers, which is a small team. There's only 50 of them working on this game. So what would take a bigger studio like, say, Bungie with Destiny 2, when they needed more server capacity, they've got a massive team, probably the size of Arrowhead completely, to just work on getting more server space. Whereas they've got to balance the game, keep the game running, and get more server space with a team smaller than that. So there's a lot of hats to look at it, but the most important one is the one that you are. I'm a consumer. You're a consumer. Everybody in chat here is a consumer. And we have paid money to play this game. And if we can't get in and play it, that isn't good enough. We don't need to care about the other hats. We don't need to care about all of the trials and tribulations that Arrowhead and Sony are facing with getting this to work well enough for customers and consumers, because they're multi-million and multi-billion-dollar corporations. They have got money and resources that we can't even fathom. We don't need to give a damn about them. They need to give a damn about us, because if we get enough negative feelings from it, we'll start putting that out into the world. And that's already happening on Steam, where reviews for the game have dropped from mostly positive to mixed to negative. It's on a massive crash course downward because people can't get in. So it is something that they need to rectify as quickly as possible, but it is difficult for a small team.
Too much success. They flew too close to the sun, and people were just hungry for these co-op experiences. And I mean, I just don't think they saw this coming. And they were expecting 100, 200,000. I hope this game continues. Like, games as a live service has kind of looked frowned upon. But no, they managed to create this fun game loop, brings in your friends, you're laughing, and I'm telling you, every time I enter a stratagem, it's like an old school cheat code. Like, they just made it so fun and engaging to play. And I'm sad I can't play my game. I'm sad I've had to put it sort of on the shelf and aside. I'm sad that we hear PC players just sort of sitting in the spaceships overnight, making sure that they have their space locked in whenever they can, and there's no AFK kickers right now, so people are taking advantage of that. And even the PlayStation 5 people are able to use their quick resume feature to simply wait in a ship as well. So these factors as well are sort of, you know, they're cramping me up. I'm like, I want to play my game, but these are the struggles we have with such success. But I hope in a month, 2 months, they're able to come out this on the other end and really produce a great game for me to get back into.
I think there's enough community sentiment for that to happen. I think there's enough positivity around the game. The reason people are annoyed is they can't play it. They can't get in to play it. They've not got enough of a good thing. So I think that community sentiment is going to hold strong. And if they do manage to get the servers boosted within the month, I think it's going to continue growing for a little bit, especially with some of the future content that they've got planned.
Absolutely. Yeah, as Wilson's saying, I just need it to work. I know. I just want to log in and it say, you're in. Here's your ship. I mean, on launch day, I was so excited. It worked. There was little bugs here and there, but it worked. I never expected it to go in and be nothing. And you know, sometimes I log in, it doesn't even say retry. It just has this 1 million number. And I'm thinking this must be the current population because I must be waiting in a queue. And it's just ridiculous.
You're 1 millionth in the queue, yeah. That's a big queue, man. Like a really big
I think the
queue.
number was 1,308,000 or something. I wrote it down somewhere. And I think that must be the population or something like that. But yes, as Phoenix says, stay brave, soldiers. Democracy and liberty will come for us all. And hopefully by then they'll add some DLC content. We'll have some new battlegrounds to... I mean, there was already new planets. There were so many new planets I wanted to explore, but yeah.
Yeah, so much. Like, and I'm sorry, I don't have the Liberty. I've got Liber Vimpto. Oops.
There was too big of a line for Liberty.
Yeah.
So
I had to go next door to the Hot Juice Shack.
Oh, Phoenix says, I don't think it's a queue. I think we're all in one room scraping to get at the door first. Oh my gosh. And I tried your little...
Let me get to the door.
Phoenix dropped in the Discord a helpful tip. If you want to get in and you see a friend on PlayStation playing and you're using a PlayStation, try just joining their game directly if they have an open spot. and you may be able to
Won't
squeak through.
necessarily work, but
Yeah,
you might get through.
It's a flip of the coin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've got more chance that way than just trying to join and then join on your friend. So yeah, it's difficult from a consumer's perspective. It's unacceptable, especially from multi-million and multi-billion-dollar corporations. They should be better, but they're a small team. The first game is culturally loved by a small segment of the community, and they were expecting those guys and a few of their friends to come in, but we ended up with basically everybody. Anybody who plays a live service game has ditched their live service game to come to Helldivers at the moment. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And the people at Sony must be scratching their heads because they bought Destiny for 3.7 billion. And now this little Arrowhead studio is doing numbers like they've never seen on a console they don't typically release on, which is PC. And now we see their CEO coming to the table and saying, "Hey, we're going to be doing this more. We're going to be releasing on PC more because I think it's good for the devs, but at the same time, if you're going to be doing that, you need to know how to do it and be prepared for that on a server end. So I
Very
hope
much so, yeah.
they learn from that moving forward. Well, let's move on to something I'm excited for, something that is a single player that won't have the server issues that Helldivers 2 has. The dubbed Bayonetta of PlayStation, and that is Stellar Blade. And I had an important question to ask when it came to this article here. Which mode will you be playing in? Will you be using their performance? Will you be using their quality?
Well, that's the thing, because there's more than just the two modes in Stellar Blade, which is what this article is about. It feels more akin to what we had at the start of the PlayStation 5 generation, which I do miss quite a bit, actually. Things like Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered at the very start of the generation, they launched with 3 quality options. So you had your performance mode, which locked 60 frames per second, but lowered your resolution sometimes, and a lot of the time, all the way down to 1080p. Or you could go for the quality mode, which gave you 4K visuals, but tanked your frame rate to 30 or even below. There were some games that ran at like 24, 25 frames per second at the launch of the console. What Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered did from Insomniac Games was give us a middle ground. So they are what they called performance ray tracing modes. So you still had all of the features of the graphics mode, the 30 frames per second 4K quality mode turned on. So you still had your ray tracing, you still had your higher textures and all this sort of stuff, but it was knocked down a little bit on resolution and the frames were bumped a little bit. So it didn't go all the way up to 60, it sort of ran at around the 45 mark. And I thought that was a perfect middle ground. It wasn't so jarring to my eyes between like the 60 and 30. That 45 was a nice mid ground, nice and smooth enough to be able to play quite happily and not feel motion sick from 30 frames per second anymore. And you still got this better looking game, which is kind of what a new generation's meant to be. And I was disappointed they didn't include something like that in the Spider-Man 2 game that we got last year. But it sounds like Stellar Blade are doing that. They've got this sort of middle ground. They haven't given us exact figures as to what it does, like what resolution or frame rate it runs at. But if that runs at around the 1800p, 45 frames per second mark, I might be on that middle one for the entire sitting.
Well, you go for the middle then, eh? That 40...
Yeah, I like to have a bit of everything. I'm greedy that way.
I get it. I get it. I'm so addicted to the 60 frames. I just love that performance mode zone. I feel like everything is so crisp, buttery. Your character looks and feels differently than a 30 FPS or a 40 FPS. But hey, to each their own. And that is the question here. Performance resolution or performance resolution.
They really need a better name for that mid one, don't they?
Well, what did they call it? Fidelity in Spider-Man, Fidelity RTX, right? Isn't that what they called it?
Performance ray tracing was one of them, Fidelity RTX in one of the others, and then
Yeah.
it was either Fidelity or Performance in Spider-Man 2. So it depends on the
But
game sort of thing. But
I love the 60 FPS, so I'm always a sucker for grabbing that one, and I always will.
I completely understand it, especially in high action games like Stellar Blade looks to be. I've got to try that mid ground though. Like Ghost of Tsushima running at 1800p 60 frames per second, it spoiled me a little bit. I want that in every title.
Yeah. Oh man, that was pretty awesome to see. I hope they continue that trend. Hopefully we're getting some DLC along the lines with Spider-Man along this year's, but one can hope. But some DLC we did get this week, which was free and is a game I very much enjoy, and we played a little bit together. It's incredible
Indeed.
crossplay with PSVR 2 as well as PS5. And that is No Man's Sky. The
An
Omega.
incredible thing.
The Omega update. I absolutely adore No Man's Sky. I completely beat the game, ascended to a higher life form, had all of these awesome ships. I don't have that cool looking ship though. There must be new ships they introduce. So the Omega update kind of puts you into a brand new world where you start all over from the scratch. You're a brand new being. From there, you're tasked with putting your ship back together, and then you can go pursue the mission that you are tasked with. So it's sort of an adventure aspect of the game, which I feel is really cool to see. Evolves this open world narrative into more story driven, mission based game types. I just hate starting all over again and losing everything I grinded for. But it's an amazing, stunning looking game, and the crossplay and the availability of this title is to be envied on any other game, to be honest. So I want to see more. I'm going to be jumping more into this. I did start it, but perhaps I'll convince Dorgon to strap on the VR helmet and get in there with me.
It won't need much convincing, just organise a time of day sort of thing. I love this, and if I'm not mistaken, this is free to everybody, even if you don't own the base game. That's my current understanding of it. So if you've never played No Man's Sky before and want to know if it's a game that you could get behind and enjoy, Omega seems to be the way to go. Like, it looks amazing, and I love the crossplay. I love that every platform can play together.
Their play for free aspect was only for a shortened amount of time. Unfortunately, we passed that time. However, I would always say that this game is absolutely amazing. Even years after the production, I believe it came out in 2018. This game is phenomenal. However, I will warn that the Nintendo Switch is an isolated world and is not compatible with the other platforms. I'm not sure about Mac, because I did know they released on Apple, which is pretty cool. But honestly, this game is phenomenal. One of the highlights of last year. I was sick with COVID, and I just sat down and had a blast with this. Can't recommend it enough. And the Omega update now for free. Cool stuff. Let's talk about some more PSVR 2, because that is Sony's big hardware, and hopefully they'll be pushing out some more titles on the VR2 this year with keeping that software going. You brought this to me. Beat the beats and brings undoubtedly cool rhythm boxing to PSVR 2. I watched a little video on this. I assume they're expanding their sort of workout routines. Now you're not longer having the sabers. It's more of those boxing VR games. And are you doing it to the music?
I think it's a different studio.
Oh, I think it's a different studio
doing this one. One thing with VR that you'll find is the best VR titles are...
Really?
made by teams that understand how VR works. And one of the best things for VR, especially newcomers, are rhythm games where things are coming at you because you're not having to move around. You're not putting yourself in a travel sickness inducing state before you've got used to how the virtual world works. So this one, Beat the Beats, it looks intense because you've got blocks, you've got punches. I believe you've got jumps and ducks and such in there as well. So it looks like a full boxing workout, which is something Les Mills does. You can buy a Les Mills fitness game on PSVR 2. But you need room scale for that one. Whereas this one, you can do from standing. It doesn't need room scale because everything's coming towards you, which is great. And from every review I've seen of it, everything that anyone has ever said, Ninja Guy in chat has played the demo and says it's great, or just yes. So anything along those lines is always going to work incredibly well on VR. The fact that it's made it through PlayStation's sort of scrutiny and what have you to get a full launch on PlayStation VR is great. I love rhythm games. They are so much fun in virtual reality. I don't like them so much on a flat screen, but in virtual reality, a rhythm game is absolutely dope, and I would recommend them to basically everyone. And as Neil's saying, it could be a great stress buster. If you've had a terrible day at work or you're just feeling a little bit pent up, jump in, beat the beats, throw some punches, get on a sweat, and you're going to be absolutely, well, probably knackered, but you'll probably feel a lot better for it after you've played. And we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of PlayStation VR 2, so new games like this coming, bring it, because it's coming the same day that it goes live on PC VR as well, which is always a plus.
I like the furry beast. It's very colorful.
Touche.
And it's released simultaneously on Steam, so even I can check it out, which is cool.
You can indeed.
I do not have a PSVR 2, but
he will be getting one and a steering wheel for Gran Turismo at some point.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We keep saying once we get a house. We went and viewed a property recently, but that did not work.
You've got to get in there first, man. Like, put it to the back for now. Let's just move on. Focus on the next point that we've got. Let's not bring you sorrow.
Yes. Microsoft's gaming chief on Xbox games coming to PS5. So we heard a little bit about this, and we saw some interesting trailers, which I think hinted towards Grounded coming to PS5, because we see it coming to Nintendo Switch. This was the podcast, the Xbox podcast, that they're talking about bringing 4 exclusive games to PS5 and Nintendo. 2 of these games, he said, were a year-old, new IPs, and community-driven. So that's what I see from Grounded, and then perhaps we'll see another one, maybe Minecraft Legends, or what's that? I think it's Legends. It's Diablo, but Minecraft. I've never played it.
Yeah, Minecraft Legends. I don't think it would be those ones. Everything he said, everything he hinted to, in what is the worst communication to your fan base I have ever heard, was essentially you're getting Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Grounded, and Pentiment.
Oh, Sea of Thieves.
2 of which were confirmed earlier today in the Nintendo Direct that went live just before we did. They announced that Grounded and Pentiment are both coming to Nintendo Switch, so we can expect imminent announcements for those to come to PlayStation 5 as well at some point in the future. This was such a nothing podcast. It was what? Half an hour, 45 minutes long, something like that. Way longer than it needed to be to say, yes, we are making some games multi-format. Don't worry, it's not all of them. And they just basically said nothing for the entire show. Everything was about, it felt like they were talking to the shareholders, the stakeholders of the company, but trying to belay our fears. And it's like, what? It was terrible. It was such a bad podcast, such a bad message and way to do it. But the big news out of it for PlayStation fans is if you are missing out on certain Xbox exclusives, you will be getting 4 of those later this year. And again, from everything he said, with the least amount of, shall we say, nuance and tact, is it's going to be Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Grounded, and Sea of Thieves. They are the 4 games that are defo going. And then he said, no other games will be going to other platforms. We're still going to have our exclusives, but other games might go to other platforms. So we are none the wiser off this week, after they have held this Xbox business update podcast thing, than we were when we were like theorizing 2 weeks ago. We have basically the same information now. It was pointless, utterly
Yeah,
pointless, and yeah.
they said the word invest multiple times. It felt like they were doing more of an elevator pitch to shareholders to continue confidence in Xbox and Microsoft gaming. That's how it felt like to me. It wasn't for your average gamer. They kept saying how they were the biggest publisher on these platforms, how they were the biggest producer of games now with their new acquisitions. And they
When you buy up
mentioned,
those people, yeah, that tends to
yeah,
happen.
yeah, and
Boy.
that's how companies operate in that economy there. They just chew up and they grow from there. And that's what we saw. They were just saying, now that we're at this position, we're letting everyone know we're at this position. Feel free to invest in Microsoft's gaming. And not to mention Game Pass, they did mention that Call of Duty would be coming there day one, which we knew some rumors were floating around the title not coming day one. Other than that, we'll see a June showcase from them, which they mentioned. But my feelings, my takeaways is this presentation was more of an elevator pitch to invest into Microsoft.
Yeah, it was to, they were losing stock basically, and that was a big problem. Like their value tanked, and when I say tanked, I mean they lost the GDP of a small country overnight because of all these rumors. So they had to do something to stop that hemorrhaging. But there's they changed nothing. Like when they said, "Oh, don't worry, things like Halo and Starfield aren't going to PlayStation," but you never say never. Halo and Starfield are going to be on PlayStation, and I would put money on it being before the middle of 2025. We will see the Master Chief Collection on PlayStation before the middle of 2025, and you can hold me to that. If I'm wrong, I will hold my hands up, and I don't know, like maybe try and sell one of these shirts to someone. But yeah, it's one of those. Everything he said, he then undermined with further statements further into the show. Is absolutely pointless. You may as well have said nothing and had the same effect.
What's going on? Good morning, Sanchez Gaming. The podcast was good because they debunked all other rumors, like Game Pass changes and Starfield and Halo coming to PS, like the world was saying. Yes, for sure. And I guess we'll see if they stick to those words or what they do progressing forward. But they did make a strong stance on exclusivity. I will say that. And ISO Motion, what's going on? Good morning. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. I know you're a fellow VR gamer like Doragon himself. So hope you guys are excited for these new VR games coming that beat the beats, which I thought was Beat Saber. I don't know. I just saw Beat and Beats and I thought it was the same game. That's me. And
There's
what's going
so
on,
many of them
Mr.
now.
Reaver the Beaver? Good morning, sir. Hope you're doing fantastic. Well, let's jump in. And yes, Sanchez, we will be getting into how Sony can't seem to predict to save their life. That is a news story that I'll be jumping into because I'm upset, to be honest, about that whole economy situation. It seems like everybody just wants to gamble, and that's how the economy works, and it's people's lives and jobs. But we'll jump into that later. Don't worry. Sony picks up Forever Skies as a PS5 console exclusive out in 2024. Why didn't we see this at the beginning of the year? I don't know. Maybe the deal took a bit longer to close than they expected, or maybe they didn't have anything to show until now. However, the game looks gorgeous. It gives me a No Man's Sky feel, to be honest, when I look at it.
Yeah.
But we're seeing this from a first-person perspective. And it seems to be more combat based than No Man's Sky is, with that first person perspective, aliens, But pretty cool. I think that
gives me
more exclusives are great for the console. Yep,
Yeah,
go for
it
it.
gives me the Journey to the Savage Planet just in VR type
Yeah.
feelings. Like you go out, you land on a planet, and oh no, hostile things. Well, it tends to be how local fauna and flora are most of the time. But yeah, it gives me that sort of vibe, and that's a fun game. It's not like groundbreaking or the greatest thing in the world, but it's fun. Sometimes we just need fun. I think the lack of information prior to this was signing the deal. As soon as the deal was signed for it to be a console exclusive, they will have announced it, because Sony needs some good news out there. Like, all of them need some good news out there, but Sony really needs some because they've been quiet for too long. So yeah, I think it was just signing on the dotted line that prevented this getting announced earlier. I think it may have been in the state of play otherwise.
Yeah, this was in the state of play. Did we see this?
No, I said it would have been if it had been
Yeah, it
signed
would have been.
earlier.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. So at the end of the PC early access, when we're ready to release the full game, we'll be launching it on PS5 consoles. So if you do want to check it out and you are curious about this title and you have a PC and you can run this, for sure check it out. But Forever Skies, PS5 console exclusive. So cool to see that they're still out there making these deals, bringing good experiences, new experiences out for the PlayStation 5 gamers if you're looking on the horizon. And yes, Callie, I thought this was cool, and I'm surprised actually, Doragon, you didn't send this to me because I know you're a huge fan of physical media. So I may be hitting you with a bit of a surprise here. But maybe I'll get more of your raw sort of take on this if that's fine. This
Yeah,
is an
fine, go for it.
exclusive Disney and Sony ink a deal for Sony to take over Disney's physical media production. The Disney Movie Club to shut down as a result. So I'm sure this deal is worth a lot in terms of money, operating, taking over services, all these big IPs now they're responsible for handling. This is cool to see, especially because it means physical media is not dead and it is still alive and there's money being pushed behind it. Yeah, how do you feel about this?
I think it's a great move for Sony. It's a bit of an idiotic move for Disney, if you ask me. They've got the money to do this themselves and not outsource. They've got no requirement to outsource with the size of their bank balances and such, but it's whether they want to put the effort into it. Sony are already set up for all of this physical media production because they produce Ultra HD Blu-ray discs for games on PlayStation. They've got rucks of these sat in there so they can put movies on them if they so fancy in pure quality, like even higher than you'll get on Sony Core. Sony make some of the only 4K Blu-ray players that you can buy nowadays, and they are fully smart, fully connected, fully brilliant. So it does seem to make a lot of sense to ink a deal with the guys who are masters at doing this, and the funds that Sony take from that can then be put into elsewhere in their businesses. It would make sense for them to put it into the television and movie departments and continue producing quality content like we got with the Last of Us TV show last year. They could put that in with Amazon to make an even better God of War TV show that we're getting soon in live action, or in season 2 of Twisted Metal, whatever the case may be. I think it's a great move for Sony. Don't understand it from Disney's part personally, but hey, they need bringing down a peg or two, so more power to the smaller companies. It's all relative, right?
Yeah, I think what you said hits the nail, right? They probably have machines that they could be operating, and they're pumping out high quality physical media. And Disney is probably spending a lot of money doing this themselves, and why not make a deal that helps both parties? So this is cool to see, and hey, long live physical media. I hope it never dies because you really do get such great quality out of it. Thanks,
Quality and
Callie.
longevity. Like, I can still watch 4K Jurassic Park whenever I fancy. Like, it's not on many streaming services at the moment here in the UK. So if I want to watch that, I've either got to do it illegally or dig out the Blu-ray. So yeah, physical media definitely has a place because it just gives you better, easier, and permanent access to a lot of media.
Oh my. Time always escapes me on this show, but I love talking PlayStation news with you, Dorgo. It just runs on, and we haven't been around for a week, so we're getting back into it.
There's a bit to
This
get
is
through, yeah.
this is what I wanted to talk about as well. PlayStation won't launch any major games in existing franchises this year. So that is sad to see. This is also on the backs of Sony not predicting as many PlayStations as they should have sold over the holiday season. And that led to a divestment in the Sony games category, which Sanchez was telling us. I feel like this on top of Helldivers, not able to predict the amount of players they were gonna have. Like, what's going on? You should be lining up these psychics and asking them what the future will be. I thought this is a known science. Like, come on. Other than that, like, why are
I'm
you
not going to
so
trust
bad
a
at guessing?
$99 billion company to psychics. That is not sound business advice there, folks.
We just
Look, the messaging on this is squiffy. It's terrible. People are up in arms about it. I completely understand. But look at the wording. There are no games in existing IPs coming this year. So that means you're not getting Ghost of Tsushima 2, you're not getting the next God of War, you're not getting the next Ratchet and Clank or Spider-Man or any of these existing IPs. There's no new Uncharted, no new The Last of Us coming in 2024. They don't say there's no exclusives coming. They just say there's no exclusives in existing IPs. You can take a little bit of solace from that. And around the middle of the year, when they do their big showcases in June or July, we could see some brand new IPs from some of these really talented studios, because Bend have been quiet for a few years at this point. They've got to be working on something. So there could be something brand new from Bend, because Days Gone isn't getting a sequel. There could be something brand new from the second team at Naughty Dog or the second team at Insomniac. There are options out there, and this to me says we can get something brand new from some of the hardcore amazing teams. We're just not getting another God of War or another Uncharted or another proven entity in however long the time frame was. I think they said early 2025. So that means we're getting a proven entity in early or mid 2025, and we're probably getting new stuff prior to that. Wording matters, semantics matter, and I think these words were picked pretty clearly by Hiroki Totoki when he put this sort of earnings call out. Now, yeah, the downturn in sales of PlayStation 5s is to be expected. Most of the world's broke. We're all still suffering this cost of living crisis because the bills all went up and then they've not come back down, even though these companies are making monster profits. So you're not going to sell as many PlayStation 5s. They're an expensive accessory to have in your life. So that's to be expected. And to only miss estimates by 4 million when they were aiming for like 25 million sold and they sold 21, that's not a failure. 21 million units sold at 450 quid a piece. That's not a failure, Sony. I don't know what you deem as a failure, but that ain't it. That's not a failure.
This is what I mean.
So
the economy is based off of this, and lots of other companies in multiple different industries do that. They put out quarterly predictions, and when they don't meet them, they do bad. And if they get money taken away from them, which sort of cripples them to do better in the next term. And it's like, how do you make, like, why is the world built off of gambling? It is a gamble, right? You invest based on predictions, and whether or not the prediction is met or exceeded, then you succeed along with the company or you lose. And it's just, it boggles my mind that we made a system of gambling as our economy.
Well, talk to those in charge, eat the rich and all that.
Fix it here on the podcast.
Mate, if you give me the keys to number 10 Downing Street, I will fix it, but people will be very unhappy.
It infuriates me, and at the end of the day, I think if you're causing happiness and you're bringing enjoyment into people's lives, that should be a scale on the factor. That should move the needle in some way or another. And I just feel like not enough people account for that factor. So go out there
to get
and
a little
be
bit
happy.
Yeah, to get a little bit over serious for a moment, we've got in every walk of life, every single company is just talking about growth. They want to grow, they want to be bigger, they want to earn more. And some of these companies, the likes of your Microsofts, your Googles, your Apples, your huge companies that have more GDP than most countries in the world, they have to realize that them stockpiling all this money means that those of us at the bottom of the ladder don't have the money to spend on the products that they're putting out. So they keep increasing the prices because they want to grow more, and they can't grow because no one's got the money to spend on what they were charging previously, and now they're wanting to charge more. It's a corporate issue. It's a corporate issue that they need to figure out. It's not on us. If we can't afford to buy games or can't afford to buy consoles, we're not going to buy games or consoles. If we can't afford to go to the movies, we're not going to go to the movies. And if you aren't providing us with quality content, we're not going to be paying to ingest it. It's a corporate problem to solve out. They need to sort out the cost of making these games. They need to make them cost less or make just great playing games that don't cost as much. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is a great example of that. It is not photorealistic or look amazing in any form or way, but that game plays phenomenally. I loved playing every second of that because of that. And Palworld and Helldivers, you make a game that plays well, that is enjoyable, people are going to come and play it. Something Larian Studios head said, like, it doesn't matter. You don't need to worry about investors. You make the best game you possibly can that works fully at launch and doesn't have microtransactions. The players will flock to you and you will make money. And if you're a console holder, they'll buy your console to play it. It's pretty darn simple, but all of these CEOs at the moment don't seem to understand that. And it might come down to people like us shouting on the internet to make them start realizing what they're doing wrong.
Well, I hope you're listening out there, but let's move it on, and thank you for that. But we are at past 11, so let's brush by these. PlayStation says first-party PC releases will be part of an aggressive growth plan. Obviously, release on PC, you make more money for your devs.
They've got the double dip thing already because they bring it like 1 or 2 years later, depending on which games and how busy Nixes are. But Helldivers has proven if you launch side by side, especially with something like a live service game where you need a community playing it to make it fully worthwhile, it makes perfect sense to launch it on PC at the same time. You get 2 audiences for the price of 1. Do it.
Do it. Next one. Hubris introduces Arena Game Mode in today's free update. So if you are a PSVR 2 player, the first-person shooter Hubris gives you a free update. Have you jumped into this one? I wondered about that.
I've jumped into the trial of Hubris. There's a trial on PlayStation 5 for the PSVR 2 Hubris, and it's phenomenal. Like, this is another level of VR games. It looks stunning, like Horizon Call of the Mountain does, but it plays so naturally. You've got to swim. You actually have to swim. So you're throwing your arms to swim. You've actually got to pick your gun out your holster and reload it and all of this sort of stuff. It's a phenomenal game. It takes VR immersion to another level, and a free update to such a good title is amazing. I just haven't had the money to buy it yet and play it, and I've been playing other things. So I look forward to eventually getting into that with all of this additional content because it's free. We like free.
Wow, this does look
yeah,
cool.
Highly recommend Hubris. Highly recommend. Just from my 2-hour trial on it.
I mean, it kind of gives me Halo vibes in VR with these like hive-like creatures.
Bit of Halo, bit of No Man's Sky, bit of Journey to the Forbidden Planet, and all these sort of mashup things. It's such a good VR title. If you really want to know what VR is like, that's a game to get into it.
Wow. Oh man. Oh, I hate how I'm so jealous of PSVR 2.
I did die to a squid immediately. I must say that one. Like, I got out of my ship and a squid just attached to my face, and I had no clue how to get it off.
Jeez.
So there are challenges.
Well, we have some highlights for the game catalog for February. If you're into racing, Need for Speed Unbound, The Adventure of Outer Worlds, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is huge for Assassin's Creed fans. And if you don't have the title already, it is there for you. Tales of Arise, I believe, is another massive one that people enjoy. Rogue Book, that's a Stadia shout out. Come on, everybody loves Rogue Book, the card playing game that they did there. And Lego Worlds, more Lego for people.
Hey, Lego make amazing video games. For me, the big highlight out of this is one of the classics catalogs that you get with Premium. It's an old PlayStation portable title, Resistance Retribution. I loved that game on the PSP. I am looking forward to getting back into it with slightly upgraded graphics and a better control system for PlayStation 5. Made by Ben Studios, and it's fantastic. I loved that game, and it is a superb addition to the Resistance series. Highly
Oh,
recommend.
that's cool. Well, that's it's a bit of it's not a catalog quite necessarily for me. That is a good shout out. Maybe fun to try some Ben Studios and see what they've been up to. So yeah, I'll probably check that out. But other than that, the catalog is there and is live. What other things can we possibly cover? Quickly, we have this very psychedelic Ultros game coming out. I thought it would be cool to bring up because it does give me that Lost Crown vibes in terms of Metrovania side scroller. But you know, you took mushrooms and now you're playing this game. So that's kind of the vibe that this game has in terms of enjoyment and atmospheric presentation. Coming out,
Oh, I
so
love
be
that.
sure to check it out.
Metroidvania on psychedelics.
That's what it feels like. I mean, it's a crazy looking game. Uh, we have Pacific Drive.
Yes.
That is being reviewed. It's a survival genre with a station wagon. So, I mean, a concept that has not yet been explored. You are a car. However, I saw gameplay and you get out of the car from what I see, and you walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was watching SkillUp's review of it earlier today.
Yeah,
There's quite a few
you
reviews
sent it to
coming
me.
out,
Yeah.
and I have not yet seen anything negative about it except if this gameplay loop doesn't appeal to you, you won't like this game. It is in the survival genre. You have to rebuild your car, and it is an utter crock to start with because apparently just driving like 400 meters is really difficult because it doesn't properly turn left and right when you first get it. So you go out into the world, you get this alien scrap, you bring it back, you attach it to your car, you upgrade your car, and you go further until you can get out of this containment zone. And that sounds like a perfect setup for a science fiction survivalist type game. The fact that there's a lot of driving and it's very precision driving, so you have to put the handbrake on, you have to open the door, you have to close the door once you're out so that the car doesn't get stolen and stuff like this is amazingly intricate. And I don't know if that would annoy me, but everything everybody says about the game, every review that I've read or seen, it's starting to look like one that might really be for me. And this is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive. So there you go. New IP console exclusive coming to PlayStation this year.
Awesome stuff. I got a little bit turned off from the first person perspective, so it may not be one for me necessarily. But however, if people of the genre who want to be a car know that you can get out of the car, so that was a bit of a mystery going into this game. But hey, it's
I
a
want to be a
concept
car.
that has not yet been explored. So I hope it does well. I like seeing novel ideas, and this is a novel idea. Although cool a station wagon. I guess, if you're gonna survive, station wagon's roomy. You wouldn't
Yeah, you
want
got
like a
somewhere to lie
sports
down in the
car.
boot.
But wouldn't you
Yeah,
want
you want one
SUV?
of the. No, always the estate car, always the station wagon.
Okay.
You fit your surfboard in there. If you can fit a surfboard in there, you can fit basically anything in there.
Well said. Well, we got through it. All the news we had for this week. That is our view on PlayStation. Let's just do a quick check because the tradition of the PlayStation, Super PlayStation Brothers is
We are after the 4 p.m. my time, so they may have announced something because this is what normally happens. Like we go to finish the show, and then PlayStation make a big announcement. But
and I think we may be safe. The big announcement today,
until
I
half
think.
past.
Oh, okay. Well, this is pretty cool. That Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection that we saw on the Nintendo Switch, I believe that this looks like it's coming to PlayStation as well. So that will
PS4
be
and
fun
5
and
by the looks
exciting.
of it.
Yeah. And so here's the announcement. And there's the game. So we saw it this morning. People who look forward to that one, that'll be awesome. Awesome. I assume this is coming out on multiplat then, all consoles.
It looks like it might be multi-platform. It was just announced during the Nintendo Direct earlier today. These games were amazing back in the day. They're getting a kind of fresh lick of paint. They still look like PlayStation 2 games, which
Yeah,
is
they do.
fine by me. As long as they've tweaked the controls to work with how people are used to modern games working, I think I'll be very okay playing these again.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun, especially, and I was trying to read through, see if they introduce crossplay. I can't see anything that signifies crossplay, but I guess we'll wait to hear and see what the options are for that. But cool to see. It looks like that one, as well as that side-scrolling role-playing puzzle game. It reminded me of a shifty puzzle, like a slider puzzle, and it's just a game built off of slider puzzles. That game is
announced
great, now to come to PlayStation. It looks very mobile. Like you could play that easily on a mobile situation.
Yeah, touchscreen controls could really work with that one. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I like the concept where it is like you can only move in the 4 directions of the D-pad, and there's obstacles in the way, and everything sort of loops round. I like the concept of it. If it's what I would deem a right price, I might pick it up, and if it's included on something like PlayStation Plus, I will definitely play it. I do enjoy a good puzzle game, personally.
Well, look at this. See, we're catching up to some news, and I believe that we can put to rest that those are the two ones. Oh. Before I forget, I can't believe I didn't see this one coming. PlayStation's Marvel Spider-Man 2 update adds new game plus new suits on March 7th. So we actually got to catch this one. Look at we're getting a first look at 2 new suits, by the way. Have you seen those? This is a first look at 2 new suits. And I think, first of all,
they are sick.
Yeah.
They look great.
Spider-Man's Peter Parker's one looks phenomenal. That looks really cool. It's like a Scarlet Spider-Man. And then Miles has got some sort of black mask with the Playboy coat and glasses. That's going to be really cool. Hellfire Gala suit. That's probably that one. And a collaboration with Game Heads. Is that an
X-Men storyline?
Oh,
it's
really?
an X-Men storyline. Basically, they hold like the Oscars every year, sort of thing. The Hellfire Gala, not the Oscars, the Met Gala, but they call it the Hellfire Gala. And when Spidey attends, it always goes wrong. So that could be interesting.
Now there's more to unlock with ultimate levels, golden gadget styles, and more. They're saying new game modes. Peter's symbiote story suits in game, allowing you to customize your look further. So that'll be cool for photo mode.
Does that mean we could get the black tendrils back with the black
I'm
suit.
hoping that's how it works.
That'll be good.
And oh yes, yes. Okay, so you'll want to show off with our updates to photo mode, including action figure mode with stickers. You'll be able to change the time of day. Yes, thank you.
Mr. Photo Mode over there is very happy.
Oh my gosh. Oh, make sure you show them with a new hashtag. What? Okay, well, I'm instantly going to do that all the time now. This is fantastic news. There's audio descriptors. Ooh, are you seeing these
Finally,
suits?
that should have been in there at launch, that audio description.
Yeah, big time for accessibility. But are you seeing these suits right now?
Okay, yeah, they're good. They're hot.
Wow, that is freaking cool. That's like, it gives me that 90s retro workout vibe. Miles, man, that's so cool. Oh, I'm so glad I got to see this article.
I wonder if these are the suits that they were designing with celebrities, because you've got people like Rina Sawayama and Lando Norris designing suits for Spider-Man. So like Rina is a fantastic pop artist, and Lando Norris is a Formula One driver. So I wonder if these are the sort of suits we're starting to see, because they had collaborations with about 6 or 7 different celebrities to design suits for the game.
Yeah, game heads, they're saying this is a partnership. I'm not sure exactly who game heads are, but obviously they're doing some cool things. I can't imagine like a partnership with just a couple suits. I mean, it's an interesting concept to cross your brand into the world of gaming like that.
I mean, Lando games anyway, so that one makes a lot of sense. But yeah, the others, not so many of them game so much. But hey, if it gives us epic suits for photo mode stuff, bring it on.
I was hoping to. Okay, here they are. I was like, that's just a regular trailer. So here we go. I skipped it. Okay. So they're just talking. I want to see the cool new suits, please and thank you. Yeah. Okay, you're a bunch of cool people. Nice. There's a group of game heads. Okay, so there's that suit, the Fresh and Fly. Oh, look at that sideways hat, and look, he's got the retro headphones. PlayStation. What is that? What is that? PlayStation will donate $4.99 per pack sold in the U.S. from March 7th through to April 5th. Game heads up to $1 million via sponsor. Okay, so it's
a charity
donation.
purchase. Okay.
Wow. Okay, that's nice. So they're matching every purchase and giving it to charity.
Good. That would make me more akin to buying such a thing.
Yeah. I mean, look at those suits! Oh! Man, I am pumped. I am pumped and excited. I'm going to be playing New Game Plus in that fresh, cool, fly suit. Yeah, I'm going to be just as happy as that.
All right, Will, and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air over there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's such a cool suit. Oh, I love it. I love to see it. Hopefully they'll be adding more suits than just those ones. I'm always hoping for more, but if it's just that, I'll be excited as well. Just New Game Plus is awesome to see.
New Game Plus is a big one for a lot of people. It just makes the second playthrough a bit more fun, because you can be a bit more free with it, and you don't have to feel like you've been depowered or anything at that point. So March 7th, great update for Spider-Man, well worth it.
All right, and that's what we'll end the episode off on. Be sure to catch us next week on Cloud&Console. We'll be doing Super PlayStation Bros, because that's who we are. Be sure to catch us. Yeah. But until then, we've got some content coming up on both our channels. So, Dorgon, why don't you let people know what you are going to be up to this week?
I'm currently editing a video together. It's one that I try to do each year. It's very delayed this year. It normally comes out in January, but I'm trying to get that one up this week for you. Otherwise, there's my gaming subscriptions are scams video to be watching, and my Drone Master 2 review already up on the channel. All views and likes appreciated. Rudigs, what have you got coming up?
Awesome. Yes, I did the math, and I shouldn't have subscriptions. I should just buy the games I want. But yes, after that, I will be gaming on Family Game Night tonight, as per usual, at 10 p.m., as well as getting into various other streams. We got the download coming up on Friday morning. So be sure to catch us there, as well as many other things. Be sure to tune in to Rudigs on YouTube, Twitter, and Threads. Yeah. But until next week, we'll be Super PlayStation Bros.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Do I even need to? I die with the season leaves. I glide with the season breeze. True, my mind so easily spooked. I ride just to be the